Hello, I'm Representative Jonathan Brostoff, and I wanted to give you an update on the ongoing attack on occupational licensing in Wisconsin. Yet again, Wisconsin's licensed professionals find themselves under attack by well-funded, dark money groups who are working to undermine occupational licensing in Wisconsin and across the country. This session, they're trying to use Assembly Bill 605 as their Trojan horse. This bill would create a sunrise review process for occupational licenses, whereby a state agency would be required to produce a report on any bill that would create a new license. On its surface, this bill doesn't sound like the worst idea. What's wrong with getting more information on pending legislation? And in fact, this is one of the lines of argument that the bill's authors have been using. We're just trying to get as much information out there as possible. But here's the thing. Part of my job as a legislator is to review legislation. My staff and I spend hours going over all sorts of different legislative areas, from licensing to criminal justice reform to agriculture and a myriad of other ones. Why, then, is licensing specifically being singled out? Easy, because licensing is the one issue that they are dead set on undermining. While the bill authors claim that AB 605 doesn't make any value judgments about occupational licensing, a closer look shows that those claims don't quite line up with reality. AB 605 includes 11 possible regulations that could be identified within one of these reports, organized from least restrictive to most restrictive. Now take a wild guess at what you think the most restrictive regulation they put in. That's right, occupational licensing. So, for a bill that supposedly doesn't make any judgments about licensing, it identifies 10 alternatives that should be considered before licensing, including such things like Yelp-like reviews and making folks engage in costly and time-consuming civil lawsuits that not everyone can even afford. And it also assumes harm to the consumers, as opposed to what the idea of licensing is, which is preventing harm before it happens. And that itself is an attack on licensing. Additionally, even if this bill were to outline a good policy prescription, which it doesn't, the language included in the bill is frankly an absolute mess. Throughout AB 605, there's language included that's vague, subjective, unclear, or open to all sorts of interpretation down the line. For example, the bill would require these reports to include information on potential harm to the public that is recognizable and not remote or speculative. So it has to be recognizable and not remote or speculative. What does that even mean? Who determines the definition of remote or speculative? None of the language is defined in our statutes. And so it leaves these reports open to all sorts of interpretations by the individual compiling the reports, while the authors continue to put their thumb on the scale against licensing with this sort of incredibly biased prescriptive language. Likewise, the bill makes reference to possible regulations that would effectively protect the public. But whose job is it to determine effective? What does that word mean? There's no statutory reference. This is all an effort to undermine our licensing in Wisconsin, and it's unfortunate because historically Wisconsin has been a shining example of progressive values in our country. And occupational licensing specifically serves to protect and strengthen a number of those progressive values, from the dignity of labor to the critical importance of consumer protection. Occupational licensing is something that makes us strong as a state. And together, we can maintain these important protections and ensure that, once again, Wisconsin will be a progressive leader in our country. I'm committed to strong consumer protections and licensed professionals who will uphold them. I'll never give up the fight to do what's right, and thank you very much for checking out this video today. If you have any other questions on it, feel free to contact me, and I'll have some additional information on the legislation in our notes. Thank you.